Let me describe a drive you have taken. You got in the car, pulled out of the driveway, and arrived at work, with no memory whatsoever of the journey. 20 minutes of your one finite life executed flawlessly by a body you were not inhabiting. Now multiply the meals you have eaten without tasting, the "how are you" said without wondering, the bedtime stories read aloud while your mind drafted emails. Researchers estimate that mind wandering occupies close to half our waking hours. The tradition has an older name for this condition: sleep. Awake sleepers from your slumber, says the Rambam of the Shofar's cry. And he was not addressing people in bed, he was addressing people in traffic. This episode's concept is Kabbalah's remedy, and it is the most immediately usable idea in the entire tradition: Kavanah. The word is usually translated intention, but it comes from a root meaning to aim, as one aims an arrow. Kavanah is the aimed act. The same deed you did yesterday, performed today with the archer actually behind the bow. And the tradition's central claim about it is startling. The act's outer form can be identical, letter for letter, gesture for gesture, and its inner worth utterly different, depending on whether anyone was home when it happened. The codes debate whether a mitzvah performed without any intention even counts. Think about what that debate concedes. Judaism, the most action-centered of traditions, admits openly that action alone is not the whole story. The deed is the vessel. Kavanah, or intention, is the light in it. Now, the Kabbalists built a vast technology on this. The Siddur of the Ari's school is dense with kavanot, specific meditations assigned to each word of each prayer, divine names to hold in mind, unifications to intend. Before performing mitzvot, many communities recite a formula: L'Shem Yechud, for the sake of the union of the Holy One, blessed be He, and His Shekhinah, a declaration that this small act below is aimed at healing the great breach above. Asked about the elaborate Kavanah of the Ari, the Baal Shem Tov's tradition answered, in effect, the one great Kavanah available to every person is presence itself, to actually be in the act you are performing, aimed at God you are performing it before. A blessing said slowly, knowing what the words mean and meaning them, outweighs 1,000 formulas recited on autopilot. The Kotzker Rebbe put it with his customary knife edge: God dwells wherever man lets him in. The letting in, that is Kavanah. Let me show you the mechanism in the tradition's most compact invention, the blessing or bracha. 100 times a day, halacha interrupts you. You reach for water, you have to stop. Shehakol, by whose word all things came to be. 10 words, 3 seconds. What just happened? The most automatic act a creature performs, drinking, was caught mid-motion and turned into an encounter. The blessing is a speed bump for the soul, deliberately engineered friction that breaks the autopilot, points your attention at the thing itself, this water, this bread, this smell of rain, and roots it upwards. The sages who instituted the blessings understood something the attention economy exploits, and the mindfulness industry now sells back to us at seminar prices: that human attention is the most valuable thing a person owns, that it leaks constantly, and that it can be trained by small, repeated, structured acts of aiming. Judaism built the training into the plumbing of the day. A Jew who says even a handful of blessings with Kavanah is running, free of charge, the oldest attention practice in continuous use on earth. And here is the Kabbalistic depth beneath the practice, the part that separates Kavanah from generic mindfulness, because the difference matters. Mindfulness, as our culture markets it, is attention for its own sake. But Kavanah is aimed attention, attention with an address. When the Hasidic masters said a person should eat with Kavanah, they did not mean chew slowly. They meant the energy in this bread will become the hand that gives charity, or the mouth that wounds. So aim it. Every act is a fork in the world's road. Kavanah is standing at the fork awake instead of being carried through it asleep. That is why the tradition can make the enormous claim that two people can do the identical deed and one of them invisibly did something else entirely. The world records the act. Heaven, says the mystics, reads the aim. The tradition itself warns against Kavanah becoming a performance anxiety, the person so busy manufacturing feelings that the deed never quite happens, or the seeker who won't do the mitzvah until the inspiration arrives. The halachic order is the reverse, and it is profoundly kind. Do the deed. Presence is invited, not required for admission. The Hasidic masters compared it to lighting a fire with damp wood. You do not wait for the wood to dry, you keep striking, and the striking dries the wood. Show up for the act on the days you feel nothing, and the feeling learns the address. Anyone who has stayed married, raised children, or practiced an instrument knows this law. Love is not the prerequisite of showing up, it is more often the product. So this week's practice is a single small assignment, and I ask you to actually do it because this is the one episode where doing is the entire content. So choose one daily act, not 10, one. The first coffee, the first bite of dinner. If you say blessings, make one particular blessing, and for 1 week, perform that act with full aim. Stop and know what you are doing, know whom the tradition says you are doing it before, and be there for the whole 3 seconds. That is all. The mystics of Safed would recognize exactly what you are practicing, the retrieval of a human being from the traffic, and they would tell you what I will tell you. The act was never the problem, the absence was. And absence, unlike almost everything else in this series, is completely within your power to end. In the next episode, the mystic's masterpiece, Shabbos, what the Kabbalists of Safed were actually doing on Friday night, and how the same architecture can hold a modern week together.